Hi guys, I hope you guys having a wonderful, wonderful Thursday. I'm here to do another video. This is Marner, Campbell-Benjamin, Fill My Cup Ministries. And I'm just telling you guys, I have to say this now because this video gonna be an hour and a half. I'm telling you to the most, okay? I'm telling you because I have to get through this material. Last night I listened to Raggio on his YouTube channel. And he's talking about the stuff going on in the United Nations right now. And so we're going to be playing a little bit of his video today. I talked about this many times on my channel about the this book, Antichrist and a Cup of Tea, from Tim Cohen's, not in publication anymore. You can find it on Amazon sometime. Like I found this one about 5 or 6 years ago now on Amazon. And so Raggio is having some studies from his book, Daniel Prophecies. I bought it a long time ago because I was interested in, I like Daniel studies. I have Daniel studies from Charles Wheelan as well. IBE publications that, we share the books with you on my channel. And I'm telling you, we are right at that time, people. 7, 7, 7. I told you I've been seeing 7, 7, 7. Last video I came on here, I talked about Job, okay? Job, second chapter of Job. Today, last night, I was doing my prayer session yesterday, and the Father gave me 2 Kings 8th chapter. And so we're going to be reading 2 Kings 8th chapter today, and it's talking about famine. Famine again. 7 years, okay, of famine. So we're going to be going through that today, and I keep getting 7s everywhere. And so when you hear Raggio, this is why I don't like to come on here talking about, well, this particular church, this particular denomination. Oh, yeah, we all in this tribe, and you sure have his people everywhere pondering, studying, seeking. And he said we prophesy in part and know in part. So why can't we all work together and pray together for one another? And I'm telling you, Raggio got a lot of key points, okay? Charles Wheelan got a lot of key points. We got a lot of people out there looking and watching and studying. So we shouldn't be so judgmental about everything. Judgmental. Oh, well, I'm in this tribe and God is black and, whatever, how people get. Yeshua made all of us his children. He said no respect of persons. I do know about the history. I do know about Israel. I do know about the fake Jews. I know all that stuff, people. I know all that stuff, okay? But I do know that you have to be born again of his blood, okay? Everybody, every denomination, every tribe, every person, whatever color you are, whatever race you are, you're going to have to be born again and have Yeshua live inside of you, his Holy Spirit live inside of you. So I don't want to hear about what, I'm in this tribe, I'm in this tribe. Oh, we got a lot of this going on over in Africa right now, all this tribalism and all this stuff they get into, and all the people get into it in America too, the black people, we're the chosen ones. Yeah, we are the chosen one, may be true to a certain point, but we have to be all born again. I don't care who you are, you have to be born again. I'm gonna tell you right now. So I'm gonna go over here now and get on through here today. We're gonna be going through some news really quickly. When I get the Dutch sense, he's talking about the Quakes, okay, from yesterday. A day before, I don't know if it was a day before yesterday, whatever. I'm playing his video that I just heard here recently, and he's talking about the earthquakes. And I'm going to go up into a certain part of it because about up to 14 minutes and then down to the inner part where he's talking about La Palma. But I don't know if I agree with him on La Palma. He's saying that he don't think it's going to be any tsunamis hitting, okay, the East Coast. And so we all have to watch and pray and see, okay? I don't know, but I just know a lot of things going to be coming. And so we have him, and I'm going to be playing 2 sections of his video where he's talking about Colorado quakes and all the things that went on. And then we're going to get into some news from Lewis in Florida, the Boo 77, and Israel news. And that's all I'm going to do because I want to get to Raggio. So I just want you guys to know my program for the day. So let me go ahead and get through it right now quickly. Boy, so much is going on. So much is happening. So much is happening. So let me go here. I found my song that I love the most. I love this song so much by miYah. I found it this morning, so I'm going to play it. Words I Pray is the name of the title. I couldn't think of the title the other day. Words I Pray, okay? And so we're just going to play it and enjoy it, because I'm telling you, we do. We need to wake up in the morning and pray to Yeshua. I pray to YAHWEH. I pray to him, you know, because I tell you guys, I don't know who else to pray to. I don't trust this world. I don't trust government. I don't trust none of it. I don't trust doctors. So he is our great physician. He is our everything, our everything. Another song that miYah put out. But let's go ahead and enjoy this one and get into the video, because I have a lot of material to cover. So let me go ahead and mute it out. Please share these videos. I never probably tell you much to share my videos, but I hope you're doing that anyway, and liking and sharing, because we are in the end times now, and a lot of things going to be occurring before us so quickly. So let me go ahead and mute it out. Make sure I have the right thing up there. Okay.
In like a flood, I cry out to heaven above. Help me to be a light in the darkness. Help me to be the salt of the earth. Direct my footsteps, show me the way. These are the words that I pray. These are the words that I pray. Try to plant my feet on solid ground, but sometimes the enemy tries to bring me down. And when Hasatan comes in like a flood, I lift my voice to heaven above. Help me to be a light in the darkness. Help me to be the salt of the earth. Direct my footsteps, show me the way. These are the words that I pray. These are the words that I pray. Judgment is coming upon the earth. Will I be ready for the worst? And when evil rules and the world is cursed, when times are tough, help me put you first. Help me to be a light in the darkness. Help me to be the salt of the earth. Direct my footsteps, show me the way. These are the words that I pray. These are the words that I pray. Help me to be a light in the darkness. Help me to be the salt of the earth. Direct my footsteps, show me the way. These are the words that I pray. These are the words that I pray. These are the words that I pray.
TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News, broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, Iranian hackers target Israeli civilian companies merely a week after the Islamic Republic blamed the United States and Israel for a wide-scale cyber attack on its petroleum and banking-related national infrastructure. Unidentified aircraft destroy a number of Iranian-controlled posts that were situated in the western countryside of Damascus. Lebanon's relations with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia falter over the conflict in Yemen, which has reached a critical juncture in time. An Iranian-linked group of hackers, which call themselves Black Shadow, have ratcheted up their attacks against civilian companies in Israel merely a week after the Islamic Republic Civil Defense Organization head, Brigadier General Gholam Reza Jalali, accused the United States and Israel for crippling Iran's petroleum and banking-related national infrastructure. While General Jalali's voiced allegation did not derive from substantiated facts, the sophistication of the cyber attack on Iran's infrastructure immediately raised suspicions among Ayatollah regime officials that the most cyber-capable enemies of Tehran, including Washington and Jerusalem, were behind the attack. Consequently, the so-called Black Shadow claimed responsibility for a malicious attack against the Israeli web hosting company CyberServe, which acknowledged this past weekend that it is dealing with an Iranian cyber terror event. While Israel's National Cyber Directorate said in a statement that it had warned CyberServe several times of being vulnerable, the Iranian-linked hackers managed to penetrate a number of websites, including of Israeli public transportation companies Dan and Kavim, a medical system called Doctor Ticket that stores sensitive information of patients, a children's museum, and the Israeli tourism operator Pegasus, amongst others. The web hosting company CyberServe was not immediately available for TV7's query into the reported attacks. Turning to Israel's northern neighbor Syria, where unidentified aircraft launched multiple precision-guided munitions toward a number of militant posts that were situated in the western countryside of Damascus, causing extensive damage. According to local sources, warehouses belonging to Iranian proxy militias were destroyed and secondary explosions were observed from afar. Separately, an intelligence source who spoke to TV7 on condition of anonymity underlined that the targets struck were situated in an area known as a staging ground for smuggling operations. It is interesting to further note that Syria's aerial defense array failed to respond to the attack. And while the Damascus regime naturally pointed a blaming finger toward Israel, further insisting that the attack only caused material damage, the IDF spokesperson's unit did not confirm nor deny its alleged responsibility in response to TV7's request for comment. Turning to Jerusalem, where Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett proclaimed, during a cabinet meeting that was held after his return from the Glasgow Climate Summit early this morning, that Israel's international standing is strengthening and that Jerusalem is no longer defined by the conflict or by its enemies. The Israeli leader went on to highlight the recent international aerial maneuver that took place in Israel, namely Blue Flag, which concluded on Thursday of last week, in which the Israeli Air Force was joined by its counterparts from the United States, France, Britain, Germany, Italy, India, and Greece, among others. Separately, alongside the month-long Northern Command exercise and a nationwide Homefront Command drill that started today, Premier Bennett chose to mention a parallel exercise that was launched earlier this week between the IDF and U.S. Naval Forces Central Command. TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, RGC Commander-in-Chief Major General Hussein Salami claims that the collapse of the United States has started, and therefore its ability to support Israel has come to an end. Iran and the European Union announced that the resumption of nuclear negotiations in Vienna has been scheduled for November 29th. EU members of parliament visiting Israel voiced their shock over Iran's hate-rooted determination against Israel. The Islamic Republic of Iran marked the 42nd anniversary of the hostile takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran this morning, with thousands of Iranian supporters of the regime proclaiming their unwavering allegiance to the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and their determination to bring about the demise of both Israel and the United States. Addressing the Iranian crowd, commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, Major General Hossein Salami, insisted that the era of the U.S. collapse has commenced, while therefore claiming that Washington's weakening stance has brought about a reality in which the Americans can no longer support the Zionist regime in reference to the State of Israel.
به قدرت آمریکا از بین رفته است. آمریکایی‌ها حتی دیگر نمی‌توانند، نه اینکه نمی‌خواهند، نمی‌توانند از رژیم صهیونیستی حمایت کنند.
The RGC commander further claimed that the U.S. is used to defeats at the hands of the Iranian nation, but has yet to comprehend the lessons in full. One such defeat, General Salami continued, included a maneuver by the RGC Navy in which it claimed to have intercepted U.S. Navy vessels at a time when they, per the RGC version, attempted to seize 2 Iranian oil tankers in the Gulf of Oman.
آنها آمده بودند نفت ما را به سرقت ببرند و ما بر اساس سناریوی دقیق تشخیص دادیم که اگر این کشتی را تصرف کنیم آمریکایی‌ها مداخله خواهند کرد. این پیش بینی شده بود. بچه‌های ما همه احتمالات را سنجیده بودند.
Responding to the RGC, Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby referred to the Iranian claims as sheer bogus.
Yeah, I've seen the Iranian claims. They are absolutely, totally false and untrue. There was no such effort by U.S. naval assets to seize anything. What this refers to is back on the 24th of October, U.S. Navy assets did monitor Iranian forces illegally boarding and seizing a merchant vessel in international waters in the Gulf of Oman. The United States Fifth Fleet directed 2 ships and aerial assets to closely monitor that situation. At no time were U.S. forces attempting to retake or otherwise engage in the situation where we acted completely in accordance with the law. So it's a bogus claim.
The Pentagon press secretary went on to assert in response to a follow-up question by a reporter that the reality on the ground actually pertains to an attempted takeover by the RGC of a commercial tanker that does not belong to Iran.
I not only don't confirm it, it's a ridiculous claim. It's absolutely not true. And I would add that Iran's actions, the ones that are true, of them illegally boarding and seizing a merchant vessel, constitute a blatant violation of international law that undermines freedom of navigation and the free flow of commerce.
Do you know that
the only seizing that was done was by Iran.
Kirby was subsequently pressed by another reporter as to why did the United States wait for this long to announce its version of the purported incident.
There was no waiting, Fadi. We were monitoring. We monitor a lot of activity in that part of the world. It was not about waiting. We are reacting to false claims that the Iranians made today. So if you're asking me why am I talking about this today, because you're asking me about it today, because the Iranians lied about it today.
Meanwhile, in other yet related news, Iranian chief nuclear negotiator, Deputy Foreign Minister Bagheri Kani announced that following a phone conversation with EU political director Enrique Mora, the two agreed to restart the nuclear negotiations in Vienna on November the 29th. Subsequently, the European Union published a statement of its own confirming that the Joint Commission of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or JCPOA, will convene in a physical format on the 29th of November in Vienna. The statement further added that the forum will be attended by representatives of China, France, Germany, Russia, the United Kingdom, and Iran, who will continue the discussions on the prospect of a possible return of the United States to the JCPOA and how to ensure the full and effective implementation of the agreement by all sides. In response,
Abu 7, an update to the Canary Islands, as we now have word that the volcano is ejecting some pretty large, what they're calling lava bombs that weigh half a ton, crashing into the earth, leaving craters on their own. And you can see in the background here what the skies are looking like. And you can see most of these homes covered in ash, all the areas. Take another look here. You can see homes completely buried, as I've shown before. And when it comes to these new ejections, you can see these massive boulders right there that have been ejected. So these huge chunks now raining down. You can see where they're still hot. You can see the red glowing in them. And this is just the latest sign of activity here in the Canary Islands at La Palma, at this volcano. You can see here, looking at some of the other charts, well, they're saying here in an update that more than 2,600 building structures have been destroyed. So that's gone up. Thousands of people have been evacuated. And as I talked about before, we've had a politician out there talking about bombing the lava flows in this area to try to change them. And they were serious about this. And if you also missed it, there was an old cartoon clip that got cut that I shared on my Twitter feed that talked about the same thing, about them collapsing La Palma, of all places on the planet, creating a massive tsunami that hit the east coast of the United States. Yeah, but it never made it to production. They cut it. Wonder why. Anyhow, this is the latest from La Palma. I'll continue to update with more as I come across it. Make sure to follow me on Twitter. You'll find links below. Much love.
What's going on? My name is Luis. Today is November 4th, 2021, and welcome to the Grand Supreme News Channel. Before I start, guys, give this video a big thumbs up and share this video. I want to show you the title to this article. Now, it says here, something really strange is happening at blank all over America. Now, I'm using code words, guys. I don't want to say certain names and, they suspend me for speaking the truth and stuff like that. So I got to be careful with the things I say. Just follow me, all right? So there's a lot of stuff taking place right now across America when it comes to these places, right? And then look, a lot are being let go because they refuse to drink the prune juice. And knowing that this thing is rising, the cold thing, right, is rising all over the place. So what's really going on? What's really going on? Well, from what I heard, some people are coming to the ER with reports of blood clot and cancer and other stuff. But the numbers are rising. It's like it's rising, like it's a record-breaking number. And then you have to ask yourself, what's really going on? How come people are getting all this all of a sudden? And the Bible says that there will be famines and pestilence in various places. I do believe so. And I believe that with all this prune juice, it's making it even worse. It's making it even worse. You know what I saw today that really, 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 really kind of pissed me off? I don't like to say that word. Again, guys, I'm not perfect, but I watch videos, young ones, 5 to 11 years old, getting the prune juice. And they were crying. Some young ones don't like the needles, right? Man, they had lines filled with young lies. I was pissed off. I grabbed my headphones and I'm like, ABC7 New York posted that video on Instagram. Young ones, little ones, 5 years old, 7 years old, 9 years old, getting that pronouns. I'm like, why? Why? They don't need it. They don't need it.
This is Dabu7. We've been through a lot since the beginning of 2020, and now things are ratcheting up even more. Deadlines have been put in place for not only our military, but now for any business with 100 employees or more. They must make the people bow down or they're going to get fined by the government. And this in turn is causing people to quit their jobs en masse. We are witnessing a truly historic event happening right in front of our eyes. And when you tie this in with the supply chain issues, it's compounding the issues, it's making them worse. And obviously, if there's not people working in all these different places, things are not going to get done. What we're about to see is the government extending its program to individuals where people are living off the government, where they are sending them food tickets, food stamps, as they already have. As all these people that don't have a job anymore need something. But here's the thing, all those people that are expecting the food stamps and all this, you're going to have to get the jab to hold those down at some point. It's all coming. We see the shelves thinning out left and right. And some states may say, hey, we've got it okay here, Texas, Florida, other places. But if you can't get goods in, say, North Carolina, milk, chicken, things of that nature, this is going to expand to those other states, no doubt about it. We're already seeing places where gas lines are very long or they're rationing the gas. It's happening right here in my own neck of the woods, yet the headlines are saying nothing. Don't expect them to. I hope you got gas for the winter and you're stocked up fully. You go to some of these stores, they don't even have bags to carry your goods out. Say, bring your own. They say, oh, we have no meat. Eat veggie burgers. Are y'all ready? Are y'all paying attention? Does everybody see what's happening? Or are you in some place you're like, oh, the shelves are stocked, life's good, so you don't care about no one else? You don't think that this isn't going to catch up to you? The people come from out the shadows. Whose side are you on? It's time to choose. Right now. Dabu7. A heads up here as we have Bill Gates warning again of a smallpox terror attack, one that is a bioterror attack launched by man, not a natural one. This is another interview where he said this. He said this in 2020 when he was interviewed and said by the year 2025, he expected to see a bioterrorism event. Now, in this latest interview, he basically is echoing the same thing, but he adds a little bit more information into the mix here. He says that the US and the UK must spend billions to stop this from happening. But what they should do is conduct what he calls germ games. Wonder if that's anything like Event 201. He said it could include preparing for acts of bioterrorism, such as smallpox and attacks on airports. Just thought you might want to know that. He goes on to say that there's naturally caused epidemics and bioterrorism caused epidemics. and that we should be prepared for this bioterrorism, and he's going to continue to promote this. Meaning that we're not out of the woods yet. Then he talks about advances and talks about a vaccine that you can wear as a patch that's coming, meaning that there's going to be innovation even in the years to come here when there is no pandemic on the scene. But then there's going to be a bioterror attack. It could happen at airports, he's saying, through smallpox. You just remember all this being telegraphed. We're going to break this down further and what I believe it means, large scale, on the next live stream. Join me Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, on D Live, censorship free. It's where it's going.
By animatronic that doesn't say earthquake updates daily, maybe earthquake updates monthly. A little joke there, but no, we'll get back into it. Let's go ahead and turn a display capture on so you can see what I see. And we're going to start over here in the West Pacific. Now, in my last YouTube video, like 3.5 weeks ago, we were talking about La Palma. We were talking about the spread of potential large earthquake activity. And the highest we went was 6.4 to 6.5. So extremely large earthquake activity did not take place. Instead, a spread of 6s went around the planet over the course of the last few weeks. Over to Europe, La Palma went through the roof, and then we had 2 solar events this past week. A upper M class flare or lower X class flare, X1 I think, or just right around it, and then a new M class flare just took place in the past day. Both somewhat Earth-directed. I think the X-class flare was mainly Earth-directed, and the M-class flare might be a glancing blow. It may miss Earth entirely. And those 2 solar events is certainly the first one. Impacted Earth, that was 2.5, 3 days ago. Now that energy has gone down to ground. Now ground is the electrical ground. It goes down to the core of the Earth. And within a few days after that electrical energy from the sun converts in the northern lights and goes down into the ground, we get deep earthquakes that start to pick up, as well as shallower, larger earthquakes which pick up after the solar storm. Again, within a few days after the solar storm hits, we start seeing a bunch of new deep earthquakes and shallower, larger quakes. Now that's exactly what's happened here, going all the way around the Indo-Australian plate. 3/4 of the Indo-Australian plate moving. The middle point here, the 6.1, 6.0, that struck on the coast of Sumatra, struck first. Over to the west, 2.5 striking in the middle of the Indian Ocean, and a new 4.5 at the Gulf of Aden. Now, these 2 quakes, 4.5 and 6.0, struck first. When they struck, I had a viewer in my Twitch live chat ask a day ago what to expect, and I told him to watch right here. Told him to watch here, and there would be a new outbreak of significant-sized quakes, and that's exactly what's happened on the plate boundary. Now, to understand the plate boundaries, let me just show them to you here. The red lines around the planet. This is the Indo-Australian plate, India, Australia. All the way around it. Going down to the south, over to the west, up to the northeast, on the north side. The whole Indo-Australian plate is showing pretty much major movement, all in the 5-ish range, going up to upper 5s. And the spacing is relatively perfect all the way around it. Just a few spots need to be filled in for there to be an equal spacing of quakes all the way around the plate. And actually, if you look at the last 48 hours, it actually has already happened. USGS map doesn't really show 48 hours unless you make it. And if you show Earthquake 3D, again, there's one real spot that needs to be filled in down here to fill in the whole Indo-Australian plate in the last 3 days, going all the way around it, up through Nepal, back down across Saudi Arabia, back across the Indian Ocean, south of Australia, down by the Dutch Sense logo, going down south of New Zealand, back up across Fiji, and across the whole area from Papua New Guinea, right here, over to Indonesia. Again, the whole plate has shifted in the last 3 days. That's a result of all the deep quakes. The deep quakes are down below the plates, and you can see them here raised high off the globe. The reason I showed the deep earthquakes and the reason we pay attention to them is this is what I think is happening down below the plates. In the magma over thousands of miles we have a ultra low frequency that's focusing in on itself, or a very low frequency, but I think it's ultra low. And it focuses in on itself down below the plate. It's vibrating up from the core of the Earth like a bass drum. The core of the Earth is vibrating because it's an electroplasma. But anyway, it hammers into the underside of the plate, and that's where our deep earthquakes begin the motion of a standing wave that spreads out around the planet and drops off equal-sized quakes all the way along the way. It's no coincidence we have a 4.6 in the Taklamakan Desert over here at China, and a 4.5 to 4.6 spreading out of the Indian Ocean going into the Gulf of Aden. It's two of the same size quakes, and they're within the same day of each other, and it's a spread of energy going over to Europe, where we're going to see the cumulative total of everything coming out of the West Pacific head to. Now, in between them, Iran, the halfway points between our current sets of earthquakes, China, Nepal, back down here to Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, over to the west, Israel. Halfway points between all these quakes, guys, if we go around the bends of the plate boundaries. So let me show you the plate boundary over here. Let me explain. We got a quake here in the Gulf of Aden. We got another quake back up here. Halfway points over to Europe. We have earthquakes over in Europe. So to find the halfway points, again, we got quakes in Europe. We got a quake down here in the Gulf of Aden. We have to go around the bends of the plate to find the halfway point between them. And where does that go? It puts us right in here. Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Israel, and over here on this side, Iran. Again, look at the halfway points if you go around the bends of the plate. Iran, Egypt, Israel. Now, there's another halfway point in between these two, and that's central Turkey. There's another halfway point where the rings overlap. That's on Greece going into the Aegean Sea. There's another halfway point in Slovakia, let's just say Austria, East Italy, Croatia. All three are going to get hit here, here, and here. And they're all going to be hit by the size energy that's coming out of Asia now. So mid-range 4s to near 5. Once we go over to the west, well, first of all, it hasn't happened yet, but once it hits, the wave is coming across, it's going to go back down to La Palma again. La Palma is going to flare back up to 4.5, maybe even bigger. Actually, hold on. 4.6, 4.5, add them together, that's 4.7 plus a 4.9. It might go back up to 4.9 to 5.0. Now, they've been doing something really weird here, guys. There's been several 5.0 earthquakes reported, but then downgrades begin, and they take them down by a full magnitude every time at this point. When a 5 hits, they take it down to like a low 4. First a 5 gets reported, everybody jumps over and tells me, and then they downgrade it to a 4 or something. It's getting weird. So let's recap. A bunch of deep earthquakes are taking place as a result of the solar storm vibrating the core of the Earth. There's a spread of the same size quakes, 5.4, 5.5, 5.4, 5.5, 5.4 to 5.5, and going right in the middle of the whole hot mess, a 6. That's all around the Indo-Australian plate. Once we spread up to the north, we have pretty much the same size movement that struck a day ago. A day ago, all this moved, and it all moved with deep earthquakes and a bunch of 5s. And the spacing is the same thing. It's the equal spacing of a standing wave spreading across an uneven wave tank. The wave tank is this, the plate boundary, the red lines. So what's going on, guys? A bunch of deep quakes means shallower, larger quakes, and that's what's taking place now, shallower, larger quakes. A bunch of deep 4s and a few deep 5s, followed by 6s and a bunch of mid-range 5s going all the way around the planet. How much energy do you think it would take? This is a rhetorical question because it's a lot, but how much energy do you think it would take to move all of India and Australia in a day like this? It doesn't happen all the time. It only happens when we have a bunch of deep earthquakes. And the deep earthquakes tend to only happen after a big solar storm. Sometimes man-made locations like CERN can accelerate deep earthquake activity, but we're talking about the sun right now. So what else is going on? The earthquakes marked in pink are from a day ago, and you can see Alaska moved with a 5.6 to 5.9 quake. Alaska up here at the northern side of the Pacific plate, up here, again you see the red line. Now all the way down here, we got another same-sized quake at the opposite side of the plate Down at the South Sandwich Islands, 5.9 to 6. Actually, it's marked as a 6.1 now, but so one side and the other all moving at a 5.9 to 6. Now let's jump back again. Got to remind you, the opposite side of the plate all the way on the other side, over at Indonesia, over here. Indo-Australian plate also moving with a 6. So one side, the other, pretty obvious. And the north side from a day and a half ago. We're not done yet. How about a progression of 5s going across the Caribbean? And a progression of the same size 4s, 4.6, 4.5, 4.4. See this? Hold on, let me show you. 4.6, 4.5, 4.4. 3 of the same size quakes spaced out across the plate boundary. And we get back into this whole standing wave thing that I've been talking about, which I'll show you a video of a standing wave in a tank so you can understand what I'm talking about if you have never seen it before. Instead of jostling around all chaotic like waves in a pool, these become uniform and they grow in amplitude. They grow in power. As you pump more energy in from the other end, down at the far end, they're pushing in and it's pumping more energy in. When the wave gets down to this wall, it reflects back into itself. And notice how they're about the same size, right? Now, I'm going to park my mouse over the tip of one of the waves, or the peak of one of the waves. And you're going to see the valley of the next wave fills in the peak perfectly. I don't even have to move my mouse. Stays uniform the whole time as they pump more energy in. Now, I want you to imagine this like a 5.4, 5.4, 5.4, 5.4, or 6.0, 6.0, 6.0, 6.0. Or, well, I'm sorry, 5.9, 5.9, 5.9, 5.9. I have to laugh about that. Sorry, guys. The USGS and their downgrades to make everything lower. But so what do we got going on? We got the standing wave going across the entire coast of South America in a day. Look at it this way. This whole red line is the wave tank along the coast of South America. And the wave tank has been saturated by a standing wave. And where did that standing wave come from? It came from over here, where it's hammering up from down below, and it spreads across. When it spreads across, it spreads out. When it spreads out, it hits this fracture zone going down to the southeast, and this fracture zone going up to the northeast. And it distributes across this whole plate. Then we get the standing wave as it spreads across the plate, trying to go around the plate. And that's exactly what it did. Went around the plate. We got the same sized earthquakes, 5s and a 6, dropped off on one side as we did on the exact opposite other. Now, going out from these 6s, we have 5s. 2 of the same size quakes going out off over to the Gulf of Aden. And look, lo and behold, 2 5s going out across from Central America over to the Caribbean. And look at that, going right out and across, following the red line of the plate boundary over to the east side of it. Out here on the east side of the Caribbean. 5 over here, 5 over here, 6 down here. Spreading equally across the mass. Next stop for this is out to the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. Termination point, where the energy flows out to. Once the energy gets there, if it's enough big of a push, it goes back through the planet, comes back out on the antipode, on our letter Ds here, with new deep earthquakes. Starting the cycle over again like a feedback loop in an audio system. And man, you start to feed it back too much, it's going to blow the speakers just like in an audio system. Now let's get into the United States. So, lower 48, 4.6 earthquake struck in southern Colorado right here. See, it's labeled a 4.0. They did a crazy downgrade on it. Crazy downgrade. It was a 4.6 to take it down to a 4. That's insane. Why did they do that? Well, start of the week, there was a 4.6 out on the West Coast. Over here in California, you don't see it anymore. It's over 6 days ago. California got a 4.6. Then a 4.6 struck over in Colorado at my warned location. You had to catch it live when I warned, but we warned you. And it's the first 4-point-something earthquake in Colorado in many, many months, if not a year. And where did it strike? Let me show you. See all these little squares on the ground here? Every one of these is a different oil or gas pumping operation, fracking. Let me zoom in on the shadow of the jack of the pump so you can see it. There we go. That's just the nearest well nearby. Let me make sure you can see all this. And the pumping operation is massive. Goes on for miles. This is the border with Colorado. Here's New Mexico. And the pumping operation literally goes across the border Just follow all the pumps. Here's the border, and we go up into Colorado, where there's more. Now, I warned southern Colorado because you are on the edge of the craton. And when a 4.6 struck out in California, I warned you for a 4.6 at the Oklahoma-Colorado border. And then a 4.6 hit. It was a 4.6 for a full day. And then some egghead at the USGS came in and wiped it down to a 4. It's two of the same size quakes, whether they wiped it or not, going from the West Coast over to the Midwest in the course of a day, following the craton edge perfectly. Look at Colorado on the craton diagram. Right through central southern Colorado, the craton edge goes. And it goes back up to the northwest, and this matters. The flow of earthquakes, it's a perfect match. Coming out of Idaho and Montana, out of Yellowstone, going down across Utah, down through southern Colorado, down through Texas, back up through Oklahoma, across the New Madrid seismic zone in Missouri, and then back up the East Coast. And that's a perfect match for this. Whoops, not this.
Yes, Colorado, California. More quakes are coming, people. Just have to stay prepared. I have my stuff by the door. I do. I keep my pants by the door. I keep my stuff. I don't know what can happen anytime, anywhere, any place. We don't know. Be prepared. Be prepared. Be prepared. I'm not going to go any further with that, though. Go and listen to Dutch Sense rest of that. It's pretty interesting. He's talking about California a lot, too, going on there. And down to the end, he's talking about La Palma, where he was saying he don't think the La Palma is going to be causing trouble to hit the East Coast. I don't know if I agree with that. But anyway, go and look at it when you get your time. 59-minute video. We'll put it in the description box. So we're going to go on over here now to Raggio, because this is the most important material I want you to hear today. And I know I'm already here at 46 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and play him for about 20 minutes, okay? And then I'm going to get into the Bible. And so I told you it's going to be probably an hour and a half video again today. I'm sorry, but I'm trying to get a point across that we're in the end at the end, and we need to be understanding these things going on in the UN and all these things happening all around us right now, people. The Antichrist is approaching. You know, we got to understand they're getting ready for this stuff. They're getting ready. They're getting ready. They're getting ready. So I want you to hear him a little bit. And I'm gonna cut it off because I can't play the whole 47-minute video. We looked at it last night, the whole thing. So wherever I cut off at, you have to go and listen to it on your own time. But I really want you to listen to him talking about the UN and what's going on in history, little things he's talking about here. I'm gonna try to play like 20 minutes of it at least. I'm gonna try to do that. I hope I can do that. And so, like I say, I don't worry about these long videos because you can always scroll down, pass over, you know, go where you want. That's what I do. If I just want to hear a certain part of a video, I just cut through it or something. So I'm sorry about that, people, but these videos to inform you. I had another person the other day write me a long comment, this long, but he's talking about truth, you know, talking about all the things going on. So I will be sending that to a few of you guys to look at. But this person, I can't pronounce your name. It looked like Russian or something. I don't know. But he was talking about the same thing, some of the things that Ken Raggio going to talk about here today as well. What's going on with the UN, what's going on with the Vatican. So let me go ahead and play it right now because my time is running. So let me go ahead and play it right now. Let me mute out again. And I'm going to skip and go about, you know, trying to get through as much as I can to save the time, okay? So let me go ahead and mute it out.
November the 2nd of the year, news break for Tuesday night, November the 2nd of the year 2021. Thank you for joining me tonight. My subject is, listen carefully, Laudato Si, COP26. You know what either one of those are? Laudato Si is Pope Francis' encyclical on climate change, and COP26 is the United Nations Summit taking place in Glasgow, Scotland this very week from November 1 through November 12th. My question is, do either of these have anything to do with the confirmation of the covenant? We're going to take a look at that subject tonight. I think you're going to be interesting to find out what the connection may possibly be. Laudato Si, COP26, and the confirmation of the covenant. Please stay with me. Share this with your friends. Click like on it if you're on Facebook, or share this if you're on YouTube or whatever, and follow my YouTube channel or my Rumble channel or my BitChute channel. Help me share these videos with as many people as we can. All right. Tonight we're going to talk about Laudato Si. First of all, I want to share some things with you from the internet and give you an idea of exactly what I'm talking about here. I'm going to go to the Laudato Si website from the Vatican. This goes all the way back to 2015. And there was a guy named Peter Turkson that wrote this document, the first draft of it. Of course, it went through many drafts, but he's one of the cardinals. I think he's from Nigeria, if I'm not mistaken, one of the Central African countries. But it's a climate change agenda. And I've talked about this on several videos previously. But here we are right now in the month of November with about 100 of the world's most powerful leaders meeting in Glasgow, Scotland at the United Nations COP26 event. This is a climate change agenda. They're pushing this thing forward harder than ever before. I talked about this, how that Laudato Si is really a rewrite of, what shall I say, 30 years of documents that we've seen around the United Nations. The United Nations has been working ever since 1972 under a guy named Maurice Strong, when they first began to talk about climate change and ecological crisis, how the ecology needs to be managed more closely by world powers. We saw the book, I mentioned the book Rio, RIO, Reshaping International Order, which was basically a precursor to all of these documents written back in the 1980s by Janet Tinberg. This was a document that was really a working document that brought about the whole agenda for world government. And it included climate change in those days. It had everything to do with educating students. It had everything to do with world economy. It had to do with jobs training being governed around the world by a world government, about the world economy, about banks and money. It just a broad spectrum globalist document, a broad spectrum globalist agenda to take control of the world and to bring all the nations, all the great corporations, all into compliance with a globalist agenda. We saw Rio took form in 1992 in Rio de Janeiro at what was called the Earth Summit, the first Earth Summit, and it was a great launching pad. People like Gorbachev and Maurice Strong and Ban Ki-moon of the United Nations was there. It was a big deal where they launched the Agenda 21, it was called. And it's an early form of this document I'm talking about here tonight, Laudato Si, that the Pope has been trying to reinforce. And that's the reason why I'm talking about this tonight, because the Bible tells us that in the last days, the Pope is going to confirm a covenant with many for 1 week. I'm going to the book of Daniel here, chapter 7, and I want to read, Daniel chapter 9, and I will read to you exactly what the Bible said. In the 9th chapter of Daniel, from the 24th to the 27th verses, we see Daniel's 70 weeks prophecies. And I'm not going to go into depth with that, but I'm talking about this last week, this last 7 years of this prophecy is an end time prophecy. And it speaks of the Prince of Rome, the people that destroyed Jerusalem back in 70 AD, made us to know that this prophecy is about the Prince of Rome, or the demon of Rome. And this Prince of Rome, represented on the earth by now the Pope. In ancient times, the demon Prince of Rome was represented by the Caesars of Rome, and there were many of them. But now, since the ancient Roman Empire collapsed, the Holy Roman Empire was born in the 8th century, or the 800, the 9th century, with the coronation of Charlemagne as the first emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. It's all run by the Catholic Church. So the Pope and the cardinals and the archbishops, they all have taken their place around the world for since 325 AD at the Council of Nicaea, the Catholic Church has been a formidable power on earth, the likes of which there is no comparison. There's no entity on the earth that can be compared to the Roman Catholic Church for size and power and influence. And this Prince of Rome, now represented by the Pope in the prophecy of Daniel 9:27, said, he will confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. The Prince of Rome is going to confirm a covenant with many for 1 week. Now, the King James Version says he shall confirm the covenant, but in the Hebrew language, that word "the" or "a" is not even there. It just confirm covenant. He shall confirm covenant. You can't tell if it's a covenant or the covenant. It's not referring necessarily to any particular covenant. We have to figure out in modern times, under modern circumstances, exactly what that covenant's all about. And for what it's worth, there's no other verse that I know of anywhere in the Bible that has any direct bearing on this singular prophecy. He shall confirm this covenant with many for 1 week, which is 7 prophetic years. And in the middle of the week, he'll cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease. That's the middle of the last 7 years, which is the beginning of the Great Tribulation. That's when the mark of the beast is going to be launched. That's when the 144,000 Jews will be sealed. That's when the 2 witnesses will rise up and begin to preach for 3.5 years on the streets of Jerusalem. That's when we can anticipate during that time, Zechariah said 2/3 of Israel is going to die. 1/3 is going to be tried in the fire like gold and silver. That's Zechariah 13, verse 7 and 8. We also know that during that last period of the Great Tribulation that Jesus talked about in Matthew 24 and Luke 21, that Jerusalem is going to be compassed with armies at that time, and that it's going to be laid siege to, and Jerusalem is going to become desolate for 3.5 years. So that's the middle of this week is the most epic point in time, I believe, in the history of the world. We've got all these major events are going to take place in the middle of the week. So, man, we need to know when this week started. And I'm here to tell you, we may be watching it starting right now, may have already started. And we'll take a look at that. I'm not going to finish the rest of those verses just because of the fact we're talking about Laudato Si. Is Laudato Si and this United Nations agenda the covenant that this prophecy is talking about? And I'm going to, first of all, diffuse the notion that this has to be a Middle East peace treaty. The Bible does not tell us specifically, and I've written in my Daniel prophecies about this very thing, and I talked about how that this covenant might be a Middle East treaty, but then it might not, because the fact is we don't have any verse that tells us that Israel will necessarily be involved in that treaty. Now, I want you to understand this. There's not any verse, there's not a verse in the Bible that tells us that the Pope is going to be involved in a creation of Palestinian state, or in redefining the borders of Israel, or forming a Middle East peace treaty. It's an unscriptural claim to say that this covenant is a Middle East peace treaty. You can't say that with any basis. There's just not a verse to back it up. You say, well, there's suggestions. Well, I'm here to tell you the suggestions don't hold water. This is a covenant that is going to be confirmed by the Pope with many for 7 years. And I want to go to the root of this. The word confirm means to strengthen, to give power to enforce. He shall strengthen a covenant. A covenant's an agreement. And I'm going to show you how this Laudato Si is confirming an agreement with the whole wide world. Now look at this. And I don't want to go into all the detail I've done if you want to get more about the details of Laudato Si, go back to, what is this, November? Go back to late September. I did a major video on Laudato Si when I said, did the Pope just confirm the 7-year covenant? If you look at that video, it's got all the great details about what Laudato Si is all about. And I quoted from that book, Rio, all the things that the United Nations has been planning now for almost 40 years. And how many of those very same talking points are in the Pope's Laudato Si? I mentioned, in fact, I dug this out of my files in my office. Here's a folder of papers. This is papers that I collected. I want you to look at this. This is papers I collected at the United Nations in 2005 when I went to the largest world summit in the history of the world. There was 153 kings and presidents and nations. I was there for a week in the United Nations building. I collected all these documents about what their agenda was all about. And one of the most significant of them, at least pertaining to this video here tonight, was this Millennial Development Plan, or the Millennial Development Goals, the MDGs. And this, I mean, I walked the halls of the United Nations on days, and they had signs and posters and stands all over the building promoting the MDGs, the Millennial Development Goals. And I have to tell you that the seventh on their Millennial Development Goals was to ensure environmental sustainability. To ensure environmental sustainability. And just shortly after that, this was 2005. Before 2010, they came up, they renamed it Sustainability Goals. And then they called it Agenda 21. And then they called it Agenda 2020. Now it's Agenda 2030. And the Pope is trying to say, we're going to take this Laudato Si and begin an action plan for 7 years. Listen carefully to what I'm going to say here. This document was written in 2015, but it has been, I'll just say it has marinated. The Catholic Church itself has promoted this agenda among Catholics for all this time since it was first written in 2015. But now the Pope is going public with it to bring it to the fore and to support the agenda of the United Nations. Now look at this. This is from the Vatican News site at vaticannews.va. Cardinal Turkson, now this is recent news here. Cardinal Turkson launches the Laudato Si action platform. That's a 7-year action plan. Listen carefully. The prefect for the dicastery of the promotion of integral human development, Cardinal Peter Turkson, presents the Laudato Si 7-year action platform, which is a 7-year journey toward integral ecology. This is by the Vatican News staff. 6 years on from the publication of Laudato Si, the cry of the earth and the poor is becoming more and more heartbreak, says Cardinal Turkson. The message from our scientists and our young people is increasingly alarming. We are destroying our future. Look down here. With this dire warning, the prefect for the dicastery of the promotion of integral development set the stage for a bold new initiative from the Vatican, the Laudato Si action platform, a 7-year journey toward an integral ecology. Now is the time to act, he said. He induced this action-oriented project at a Tuesday morning press conference for the conclusion of the Laudato Si year. The action platform is seen in the context of numerous initiatives that mark the year, including the recently concluded Laudato Si Week, Season of Creation last fall, that was in September and October, and the Economy of Francis event in February. The worldwide reception, listen carefully, of the proposal and celebration of a special year of Laudato Si has been fabulous and generous, said Cardinal Turkson. Local churches, associations, movements, and many others have responded with great enthusiasm to Pope Francis' appeal. I'm going down here and show that these goals, a prayer and a dream, these goals can be realized only through our partnership, walking the synodal path Pope Francis is proposing to serve the entire church. The working groups created to implement the various goals will bring together partners from around the world to respond to the Pope's constant invitation to prepare the future together. Now I'm going to go to this next one. Here we have Pope Francis speaking to COP26. Now, he didn't personally appear there, but he sent one of his emissaries. But his message was, let's choose to leave our children a healthy planet. So the Pope is strengthening the COP26 agenda. He's strengthening the climate change. He's strengthening the Millennial Development Goals, the sustainability goals, Agenda 21, the Agenda 2020, Agenda 2030. He's strengthening all this stuff. He's strengthening Rio, reshaping the international order. That's what Laudato Si does, except it comes from the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is basically echoing and confirming and strengthening the United Nations agenda. Now, guys, you got to understand, this agenda has been a radical agenda. If you go back, if you just think about Al Gore and John Kerry and all their mischief about trying to impose carbon taxes and trying to reshape the whole global economy based on reducing the carbon emissions and shutting down coal mines and getting rid of oil and gas and getting rid of gas-fired engines and trying to change the whole economy of the world. There's been an enormous amount of pushback all these decades. The world says, I smell a rat, and anybody knows that Al Gore already made hundreds of millions of dollars or more just through his involvement with the climate change agenda. But he was, in fact, I got to tell you, he was one of the first people I saw on the videos at COP26. I mean, I saw there he was. Oh my goodness, it was President Biden, it was Al Gore and John Kerry standing there talking with each other. It's the same mischief. And guys, I got to tell you, all three of these guys were trained by Jesuit Catholics. All three of them were. In fact, Joe Biden was married by a Jesuit priest in the United Nations Chapel. What's that tell you? Joe Biden got married in the United Nations Chapel by a Jesuit priest. What's that tell you about it? Catholic and global government. Catholicism and globalism, they go hand in hand. John Kerry was educated by Jesuits. Al Gore, all these other guys, listen to me. The Catholic Church in Rome is the center. It is the pulse of globalism. Globalism comes from Rome, guys. And the Pope has strengthened this covenant. Pope Francis said it's time to develop a new form of universal solidarity. We published the Pope's preface to the ebook Laudato Si Reader, an alliance of care for our common home, published by Libreria Editrice Vaticana in conjunction with COP26. Are you Mike Pompeo in 2019. This is a very, very powerful man, and he is appealing to the world in behalf of the Vatican. Now answer me this. Now, I'm a Pentecostal preacher. We didn't have any Pentecostal preachers speaking at the United Nations this week. In fact, the Muslims, they're pretty big too. They got like 1.5 billion people. The Muslims, as far as I know, they didn't have a religious leader speaking. But I can tell you this, the Vatican has already enrolled and recruited all the Muslims to support this. And the Vatican has already recruited all the other major religions. There's documents all over here shows how many different religious organizations have been already recruited to support this agenda. I mean, the Bible said he will confirm this covenant with many. How many? Well, I don't know how you can get any more many than the whole world. I mean, I just read to you that they said they wanted to get everybody in the world involved in this. He's trying to strengthen the covenant with everybody in the world. Is that many? How many do you want? He wants the whole world to know about this. Now, I'm taking you to the website of COP26 in the UK. And, I put a blurb on Facebook the other day. Just for what it's worth. It's been a week or two. I said, you better brace yourself. If the Queen of England passes away, we're going to see King Charles in here. And some people say, no, he's not eligible because he got divorced, but that's just not true. Prince Charles could very easily become King Charles. And the significance of that is the Bible tells us that last world government is going to be a 7-headed, 10-horned beast, and it's going to have the mouth of a lion, the feet of a bear, and the body of a leopard. The leopard is the European Holy Roman Empire, as it were. The lion is Britain, and the bear is Russia. So the world government in the end is going to have the mouth of a lion, which is the mouth of Britain. And you know who was sitting on the front row and center at the COP conference? And you know who spoke in behalf of this climate? Prince Charles. Prince Charles was probably the number 2 speaker. I forget what order they were in. Of course, the keynote speech there was Boris Johnson, because he was the host of the event, because he's a prime minister of the United Kingdom, and that being in Glasgow, that means he was a prime minister. So he's the one that made that introduction. But let me tell you something. Prince Charles is behind this, and you better brace yourself to see him become King Charles. And you better brace yourself to King Charles becoming the mouth of the mouth of the world government in these last 7 years. I'm just talking. I'm not prophesying. I'm just talking. The Bible said that world government's going to have the mouth of a lion. And I think Britain's going to be that mouth, and you're going to be shocked at how much. Do y'all understand all the lockdowns in Australia and all the lockdown? Have you been hearing all the despotism that's going on in Australia, how they're slamming down on these people because they won't take the vaccine? Have you heard how harsh they've become in Canada? They're throwing preachers in jail, and they're throwing people in jail because they won't cooperate with it. Do you understand that Australia and Canada are crown properties? Do you understand that the British crown rules Australia and Canada? You want to see despotism? Go look at Britain. Go look at London, England. Go look at the royals of England. You want to see that kind of despotism all over the world? It's coming. It's coming. It's going to come under the auspices of a climate change agenda, but it's going to be anything but climate. It's going to be a globalistic takeover. Everybody on earth is going to become a slave. Look at these agenda. Secure global net zero, adapt to protect communities and natural habitats, mobilize finance, and work together to deliver. Those seem so innocuous, but the devil is in the details. They said at COP26, we must finalize the Paris rule book, the detailed rules that make up the Paris climate change agenda. Do you remember Donald Trump pulled us out of the Paris Agreement? One of the first things he did when Donald Trump became the president was pull us out of the Paris agenda. You know why Trump pulled us out of the climate agreement? Because it was a globalist agenda. Do you remember the speech that Donald Trump made at the United Nations? He said, we will never bow to globalism. We don't want globalism. We don't believe in globalism. Well, they took Trump down, and now the globalists are in power. You got John Kerry over there promoting the Pope. John Kerry says the Pope is the only one that has the moral authority to make this work. John Kerry, and here's what you got to know. Last week, just immediately before COP26 at Glasgow, just before the United Nations Summit in Scotland, you had the G7 members out there. Who is that? Canada, Australia, United States, United Kingdom, France, Germany, I forget who else, the G7. And I think a lot of the G20s have been to the Vatican. President Biden was at the Vatican last week. John Kerry has been at the Vatican several times in the last several months. John Kerry is one of the movers and shakers of this thing. John Kerry is a Jesuit operative, guys. He's working for the Vatican. Paris Agreement. Under the Paris Agreement, countries must increase their ambition every 5 years to facilitate this. The agreement establishes a global stock take which assesses progress with the first evaluation in 2023. The outcome is to be used as input for new nationally determined contributions of parties. Carbon, do you know what the carbon tax is all about? The carbon tax is about robbing Peter to pay Paul. The carbon tax is about taking, United States is one of the most productive countries in the world. China, of course, has got more carbon emissions than all the world, but of course, they get off scot-free. We let them get by with murder over there. But we got to pay the bills. They're gonna tax us. They're gonna tax us because we emit carbon. And these countries that don't emit so much carbon, they're going to get that money because we produce the goods and services that the world uses. We have to be penalized. We have to give our money to the poor nations. And so what's going to happen? They're going to end up getting rich off of us, and we're going to be broke. The United States is going to be crushed. It is a global redistribution of the wealth. It doesn't have anything to do with climate. It is a theft. The banking system's behind it. Crypto's behind it. White House is behind it. Congress is behind it. I mean, there's Jesuits all up and down the halls of Congress. Most powerful lobbyists in Congress working with the Jesuits. Catholic Church is running this thing. You got 6 Supreme Court justices working for the Catholic Church. Nancy Pelosi's Jesuit trained. Joe Biden Jesuit trained. Obama Jesuit connections. How many of you want Susan Wright Jesuit? You need my book. I'm telling you, you need this book. You need this book, The Daniel Prophecies. Let me read you something. The Jesuits Listen to the royalty that were trained in Georgetown University. Royalty around the world trained at Georgetown. Georgetown is a Jesuit university that teaches global diplomacy. King Abdullah of Jordan, the Crown Prince of Greece, Prince Philippos of Greece and Denmark, Prince Bernard of Netherlands, Giuliani of Luxembourg, the Prince of Spain, Prince of the House of Saudi, Al Hussein of Jordan, Al Saud of the Saudi royal family, Mohammed of Jordan, Talal of Jordan, a Habsburg descendant, presidents that were trained at Georgetown under the Jesuits, the president of Panama, president of the Philippines, president of the European Commission, prime minister of Portugal, president of Costa Rica, Bill Clinton, 42nd president of the United States, president of El Salvador, president of Ecuador, prime minister of Lebanon, president of Bosnia, president of Colombia. Lyndon Johnson even was a Georgetown graduate, a Jewish trained operative. Thomas Carlyle, the British historian, said in the 1700s, Jesuitism has poisoned the well springs of truth in the whole world. The Jesuit influence in global business, Neil Ashe, president CEO of Walmart's global e-commerce. Mary Erdos, CEO of JP Morgan. These are Jesuit trained people. Frank Keating, president CEO of American Bankers Association. Elaine LaRoche, chairman of Morgan Stanley. Jesuit trained, guys. George Mitchell, chairman of Walt Disney. This is from my book. Some of these have been replaced since I wrote this book. Eugene Murphy, vice chairman of General Electric, Capital One Financial, Citigroup. Everybody, just about half the people, at least half the people at Fox News are Jesuit trained. Bill O'Reilly, Sean Hannity, Greta Van Susteren, Newt Gingrich, Chris Matthews, George Barna, Robert Bennett, William Bennett, Jerry Brown, Zygmunt Brzezinski, Pat Buchanan, William Buckley, Daniel Carroll, Fidel Castro, John Barrymore, Hillary Clinton, Andrew Cuomo, Tom Foley, John Paul Getty, John Kerry, G. Gordon Liddy, Tip O'Neill, Antonio Scalia, Clarence Thomas, Donald Trump, Adam Weishaupt, and countless others, Jesuit trained and Catholic Jesuit. Tell me the Catholic Church does not run the world. You can't without lying.
All right, guys, I got to stop there. Please turn that off. I got to stop there. I'm sorry. I was trying to wake up my husband. That's why you see me all trying to wake him up. Anyway, yeah, guys, you go and listen to the whole thing. It's 47 minutes. I gave you a lot of it and more than I thought I was, but skipped down a few points there. But this is something I've been talking to you about on my channel a long time. The Antichrist and a cup of tea. The emblem of London. The emblem. I think I have other pictures here I got today. The emblem. The emblem. The coat of arms. Okay. All dealing with that. And it's in the Bible. It talk about it. Okay. The Bible. It talk about it in Revelation 13. The lion, the lamb, the bear, and the leopard. The red dragon. The emblem. Okay. So I hope you guys are really waking up out there and really knowing what the times we're living in. That's why I wanted to report this today. I've been talking to you about Prince William, Islamic centers all over the world, all over. They've been plotting and planning, and they are secret Muslims. I've been telling you guys this for a long time. I don't know if this is going to be my last video again, but anyway. We're going to get into the Bible now because time is going. I'm already at hour and 18 minutes. So let me go ahead and finish it up. Might be a little over an hour and a half. Let me go on to the Bible because it's so urgently important that we understand the times we're living in. The times we're living in. So we're going to be going to 2 Kings 8 today. I probably would love the amplified version, but we're going to go over to the Son of Man Bible version because my husband's reading today from his version. It's not your version. It's, what is it? I don't know what it is. He have it in the in our website there at FillMyCupMinistries.org. You can go there and get a copy of it, I think, on our bump card as well. But it kind of just breaks it down a little into modern communication. What it does, but I like the amplified, and I still like King James Version, my favorites. Okay, So, Father, be with us as we go and read from 2 Kings 8, because it's talking about the 7 years, the 7 again, another 7. We know you be trying to warn us and prepare us for what's coming, Father. So we just thank you so much for your word in every way. We ask that your Holy Spirit come and be with us. And we ask it in my name, Yeshua HaMashiach. God, I can't talk here today. Yeshua HaMashiach. And also Ahaya. I love that word. I think Prince, I was reading about Carrie Gedden, just found out that Ahaya was his name. Well, yeah, Ahaya means that he's the, he's all of it, everything. But we have many names. He have many names. So I just know I've been finding about Ahaya when, Marlene told me about Ahaya many years ago. So let's go ahead and just read the word and from 2 Kings.
2 Kings chapter 8?
Yeah.
Now Elisha had spoken to the woman whose son he had restored to life. He said to her, Arise and go with your household and stay wherever you can in another land, because Yahuwah has called for a famine, which will come on this land for 7 years.
7 again. 7 people. 7, okay?
So the woman arose, and she obeyed the word of the man of the Almighty. She went with her household and lived in the land of the Philistines 7 years. It came about at the end of 7 years that the woman returned from the land of the Philistines, and she went to the king to beg him for her house and for her land. Now the king was talking with Gehazi, the servant of the man of the Almighty, saying, Please tell me all the great things that Elisha has done. Then as he was telling the king how Elisha had restored to life the child who was dead, the very woman whose son he had restored to life came to beg the king for her house and land. Gehazi said, My master king, this is the woman, and this is her son whom Elisha restored to life. When the king asked the woman about her son, she explained it to him. So the king ordered a certain officer for her, saying, Give back to her all that was hers and all the harvest of her fields since the day that she left the land until now. Give it all back. Elisha came to Damascus, where Ben-Hadad, the king of Aram, was sick. The king was told, The man of the Almighty has come here. The king said to Hazael, Take a gift in your hand and go meet the man of the Almighty, and consult with Yahuwah through him, saying, Will I recover from this sickness? So Hazael went to meet him and took a gift with him of every kind of good thing of Damascus, carried by 40 camels. So Hazael came and stood before Elisha and said, Your son Ben-Hadad, king of Aram, has sent me to you, saying, Will I recover from this sickness? Elisha said to him, Go, say to Ben-Hadad, You will surely recover. But Yahuwah has shown me that he will surely die. Then Elisha stared at Hazael until he was ashamed, and the man of the Almighty wept. Hazael asked, Why do you weep, my master? He answered, Because I know the evil that you will do to the people of Israel. You will set their strongholds on fire, and you will kill their young men with the sword, dash in pieces their little ones, and rip open their pregnant women.
You know, a lot of this is going on in Afghanistan. I'm finding out that they are selling the babies because they can't not eat. So the parents are being forced to, like in a position where they have to sell their babies so they can't eat. It's happening right now, people. Over in India, they're burning churches down. I've got a report from my missionary over there. They're burning the churches down over in India, 5 or more. I know he was telling me 2 weeks ago. Okay, go ahead.
Hazael replied, Who is your servant that he should do this great thing? He is only a dog. Elisha answered, Yahuwah has shown me that you will be king over Aram. Then Hazael left Elisha and came to his master, who said to him, What did Elisha say to you? He answered, He told me that you would certainly recover. Then the next day Hazael took the blanket and dipped it in water and spread it on Ben-Hadad's face so that he died. Then Hazael became king in his place.
Taking up kings, setting down kings. Making up kings, setting down kings. Go ahead.
In the 5th year of Joram, son of Ahab, king of Israel, Jehoram began to reign. He was the son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah. He began to reign when Jehoshaphat was king of Judah. Jehoram was 32 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned for 8 years in Jerusalem. Jehoram walked in the ways of the kings of Israel, as the house of Ahab was doing, for he had Ahab's daughter as his wife, and he did what was evil in Yahuwah's sight. However, because of his servant David, YAHWEH did not want to destroy Judah, since he had told him that he would always give him descendants. In Jehoram's days, Edom revolted from under the hand of Judah, and they set a king over themselves. Then Jehoram crossed over with his commanders and all his chariots. It happened that he rose up at night and attacked and overwhelmed the Edomites, who had surrounded him, and the commanders of the chariots. Then Jehoram's military force escaped to their homes. So Edom has been in rebellion against the rule of Judah to this present day. Libnah also revolted at the same time. As to the other matters concerning Jehoram, all that he did, are they not written in the book of the daily records of the kings of Judah? Jehoram died and rested with his fathers, and was buried with his fathers in the city of David. Then Ahaziah his son became king in his place. In the 12th year of Joram son of Ahab king of Israel, Ahaziah son of Jehoram king of Judah began to reign. Ahaziah was 22 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned for 1 year in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Athaliah. She was the daughter of Omri king of Israel. Ahaziah walked in the ways of the house of Ahab. He did what was evil in the sight of YAHWEH, as the house of Ahab was doing. For Ahaziah was a son-in-law to the house of Ahab. Ahaziah went with Joram son of Ahab to fight against Hazael king of Aram at Ramoth-Gilead. The Arameans wounded Joram. King Joram returned to be healed in Jezreel of the wounds that the Arameans had given him at Ramah, when he fought against Hazael king of Aram. So Ahaziah son of Jehoram king of Judah went down to Jezreel to see Joram son of Ahab, because Joram had been wounded.
Well, we got a lot of things are repeating themselves. Absolutely. And we got, like I say, this man all over the place. One world government. But the red alert is what? What is the red alert? I keep telling you guys what the red alert is to give your life to Messiah Yeshua, because he's coming soon. Need to be born again. I don't care what tribe you are. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what you might think about it. But he said, those that come to me, what? What did he say in the Bible about that?
What?
You have to come to him. It's like you have to become a part of his temple. You have to denounce sin and give your life to Messiah Yeshua. He said that, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, so whosoever believe in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. And so that's why he said he's with us always to the end of the age. And we need to know we're going to go through suffering. We're going to go through all these trials, tribulations, testing times, horrible times coming. But we must not throw in the towel. We must not give up. We must not bow down to Baal, people. This is what this is about, bowing down to Baal, bowing down to the Pope of Rome, bowing down to whoever, kings and governors and all these things. We need to stand, people. All this whole video today is talking about Lewis is saying to stand up, Raggio is saying to stand up, I'm saying to stand up, even Dabu 77 saying not to bow. And we need to know it's true, not to bow down to these people. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video because I already went over. So I'm going to go ahead and end it now. Let's go over here to, please go and look at the rest of this video. Please, it's important. It's got a lot of points in there. I told you about his book a long time ago. You can go to his website, Raggio, kenraggio.org, I think, or .com. I forgot now. And you can go there and order his books and things like that. But I know it's a big, thick book full of historic information, biblical information. Antichrist and a cup of tea, hard to find, but this is all talking about Revelation 13. Go and look at Revelation 13, okay? So let me go on here now and get over to Maranatha, which he's talking about the faith of the reformers. The first one, the faith of the reformers. Back when Martin Luther and all those guys was running the world and in the world. So let's go ahead and listen to it, and we'll let you go. Wow, people, just so many things are showing us that we are at the end. Okay, so let me go ahead.
January 6th, faith of the reformers. The last enemy that shall be destroyed is death. 1 Corinthians 15:26. Luther declared, I persuade myself verily that the day of judgment will not be absent full 300 years. God will not, cannot suffer this wicked world much longer. The great day is drawing near in which the kingdom of abomination shall be overthrown. Daniel T. Taylor, The Reign of Christ on Earth, or the Voice of the Church in All Ages, page 33. This aged world is not far from its end, said Melanchthon. Calvin bids Christians not to hesitate, ardently desiring the day of Christ's coming as of all events most auspicious, and declares that the whole family of the faithful will keep in view that day. We must hunger after Christ. We must seek, contemplate, he says, till the dawning of that great day when our Lord will fully manifest the glory of his kingdom. Has not the Lord Jesus carried up our flesh into heaven, said Knox, the Scotch reformer, and shall he not return? We know that he shall return, and that with expedition. Ridley and Latimer, who laid down their lives for the truth, looked in faith for the Lord's coming. Ridley wrote, "The world without doubt, this I do believe, and therefore I say it, draws to an end. Let us with John, the servant of God, cry in our hearts unto our Savior Christ, Come, Lord Jesus, come." The thoughts of the coming of the Lord, said Baxter, are most sweet and joyful to me. It is the work of faith in the character of his saints to love his appearing and to look for that blessed hope. If death be the last enemy to be destroyed at the resurrection, we may learn how earnestly believers should long and pray for the second coming of Christ, when this full and final conquest shall be made. This is the day that all believers should long and hope and wait for, as being the accomplishment of all the work of their redemption and all the desires and endeavors of their souls. Hasten, O Lord, this blessed day. Such was the hope of the apostolic church and of the church in the wilderness and of the reformers.
All right, guys, that's what you need to be doing. All of us need to be dying daily as the time is getting before us. These people not playing around. They're not playing around. Everything's on the books pretty much. And you know, Yeshua telling me right now again, famine's coming. That's what he was telling me here today in 2 Kings 8th chapter, the first 3 verses. Famine is coming. The lady had to leave and go to another land until the famine was over. I don't know if we're going to have a wilderness experience. I kind of believe we are. I'm just saying that's what I believe. But I could be wrong, okay? I don't know how Yeshua got it all played out in the end for us, but we need to always hold on to him. Hold on to him, not giving up, okay? So we're going to go ahead and end the video. We really appreciate all you guys who helped the homeless, the widows, the orphans. We was at the homeless people the other day, a little while. Always be praying for them. And we just thank you so much for all you guys are doing. So I really, I don't know, I'm looking.
Just click it.
Click what?
That one.
Okay, this one.
Switch the
Okay.
tab.
So I'm just looking. Yeah, okay. He got this thing set up differently. I don't know how to work it. So anyway, we thank you for all your donations that's been coming in. We have donation options from Tyler app, Cash app, Bump Card, and also you can go to fmcmi.org, our website. You can go to marner.com@gmail.com, at PayPal. You can mail in your donations at Fill My Cup Ministries, Post Office Box 414, Canon City, Colorado. You can ship things to us at Fill My Cup Ministries, 1501 Main Street, number 414, Canon City, Colorado, 81212. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. I'm going to go ahead and end with prayer. And so I just want you guys to know that it's so important that we take care of each other, God's people taking care of each other right now. Because soon as the trumpet sound, I tell you, I don't know. I just don't want to be left behind, no kind of way. I just want him to come at the time he's going to come, and we to be ready. We ought to be always ready. Praying day and night, praying without ceasing, okay? It's really time to really know how serious these times are. That to pray without ceasing. Don't let the devil lie to you. Don't let people lie to you. Don't let people steal your salvation. We need to know that it's time to really cling to our Father, cling to our Master more than ever. So you feel like praying today? You want me to? I don't, you know.
Always feel.
All right, we're going to pray for you guys right now, and we hope that you guys go and share this video. I don't even usually tell people to share my videos. I don't care if you share them. You need to share them. A lot of people say they're long, but I have to do them long because I have to come here and give information. I'm not here to rush through it, and I don't care how many people watching the channel. I do care, but I'm here just a teaching channel in a way, and I have to show you the times and the signs going on, the times of the signs going on. So I hope you share the video. So I'm going to go ahead and pray now. This video is at 1 hour and 34 minutes already. So go ahead and let's end this video.
Father, we just thank you for everybody gets to view the video today. Father, we thank you for the time. Father, we have nothing but time before you. And we know we're going to be stepping into eternity here soon. So we just ask you to guide your people to the end, Father. Show us what to do, what to say, who to see, how to say it. And we just give you all the thanks and the glory. We just thank you for everyone, Father, that supports us. And we just pray for all the workers. You have workers all over this planet, Father. We just thank you for everybody out there working in the field, trying to bring a few more people into the kingdom, trying to get in the final fruit into the barn, Father. Hallelujah. We just thank you for it. And we give you all the praise and the glory in Yeshua's name. Amen.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching, people. So go and have a blessed day, and I'll see you guys on another video. I love you guys so much. Shalom, shalom. Bye-bye.
Bye.